Let's dive right into this because we are looking directly at a nightmare completely realized. Picture it. Homelander, sitting right behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. There is no more red tape. There is no more Vought PR holding him back. No more corporate handlers frantically trying to manage his brand or control his outbursts. We are witnessing the chilling reality of a man who has finally, terrifyingly ascended to the status of a literal, immortal god ruling over a completely fractured nation. That haunting visual, a blood-soaked superhero suit occupying the very chair where presidents have sat for centuries, signals the absolute definitive death of democracy in this universe. I really want to break down exactly how we reached this terrifying endgame. We need to look at what this actually means for the desperate remnants of the resistance and uncover the incredibly dark maneuvers happening in the shadows right now that could determine the ultimate fate of this entire universe. We're going to meticulously analyze every single thread of this narrative, and we have to start with the most catastrophic, game-changing development of them all. I need you to fully grasp the sheer, suffocating terror of this development. Think about it. For years, the fundamental crutch keeping Homelander even somewhat in check, the tiny fraying tether keeping him bound to our reality, was the theoretical possibility of his death. It was the deeply buried fear of his own mortality. But now, he actually possesses the V1 upgrade. He is officially, biologically immortal. I just want to pause and really let that sink in for a second. We are talking about zero aging. We are talking about absolutely zero physical vulnerabilities. He has finally gotten exactly what he always wanted. For the resistance, this brings the terrifying, gut-wrenching realization that the soup-killing virus, the singular, desperate weapon that absolutely everyone was banking their very lives on, is now completely and utterly useless against him. He can literally live forever, completely unchallenged, exactly like the untouchable deity he always genuinely believed himself to be in his own twisted mind. Let me explain the actual terrifying science behind this nightmare scenario, because it's absolutely crucial to understand why everything has changed. The V1 enhancement isn't just a simple power boost, and it's definitely not some temporary buff. It is an absolute biological rewrite at the microscopic level. It grants absolute biological immortality. The reason the super-killing virus is now completely off the table is that V1 fundamentally alters the host's cellular structure. It completely seals off and eliminates any vulnerability in their compound V-infused system. The virus simply has nowhere left to latch on. It literally cannot mathematically or biologically bind to the V in his system anymore. So Homelander isn't just strong right now. Scientifically speaking, he has become a flawless, unstoppable force of nature that cannot be poisoned, cannot be sickened, and cannot be degraded in any way whatsoever. Section 1. Deep's Ocean Exile, a god without a kingdom. While Homelander sits incredibly comfortably on the throne of the free world, let's look at the tragic, deeply isolated figure of the Deep to see how this new world order is building a stark contrast elsewhere. To truly understand his current state of utter despair, we have to meticulously trace back the catastrophic chain of decisions he made. Remember, the Deep actively promoted a corporate pipeline. He completely sold out his aquatic loyalties just to maintain a pathetic, groveling seat at Homelander's table. And then what happened? Black North swam down and literally punched a massive hole right in it, causing a catastrophic, completely uncontrollable oil spill. This resulted in the horrifying, agonizing deaths of millions of sea creatures. Really think about the psychological toll on the Deep here. This is a man who literally hears the voices of fish. He had to listen to millions of them suffer and die, knowing full well that every single living entity in the ocean rightfully blames him for this massacre. And when he discovered exactly what Black Noir did, the Deep retaliated by murdering him. He has opened up a massive can of worms here, essentially orchestrating his own complete and total ruin. So, what on earth is the Deep's next move? I really want you to think about his staggering lack of options right now. The ocean has violently, permanently rejected him. He cannot ever go back to the water without facing the absolute wrath of the very creatures he was sworn to protect. And on the surface, well, he just murdered Black Noir. Now, under normal circumstances, in previous seasons, Homelander would absolutely punish him severely, perhaps even fatally, for taking out a key member of the Seven. But here's the truly terrifying truth of this new regime. Homelander might not even care. Now that Homelander has the V1 upgrade and is effectively a living god, the petty, squabbling betrayals of his underlings like the Deep and Noir mean absolutely nothing to him. They are beneath his notice. The Deep is completely stranded in a purgatory of his own making. He has no allies left, he has no home to return to, and he has absolutely no purpose. Section 2. Hunting the Resistance. Severing the Head.
While the Deep is busy wallowing in his own self-inflicted misery, Homelander is definitely not just sitting passively behind that desk. He is launching an active, brutal offensive directly from the Oval Office. He wants to systematically dismantle the resistance piece by piece. You see, he doesn't just want to win, he wants to sever the head of the opposition so violently and so publicly that no one ever even dares to challenge his regime again. Specifically, he wants to drag Butcher in alive. He wants to look him right in the eyes and watch the hope completely drain from his face before he ends him. And to execute this bloody purge, Homelander has deployed a very specific, highly lethal hit squad, Donut and Shilin. Let me break these two down for you. Donut isn't just your standard street-level thug. He is essentially a human bloodhound with a ridiculously heightened sense of smell. He is an exceptional, absolutely terrifying tracker, the exact same guy we saw hunt down Stan Edgar. And right alongside him is Shilin. Now, hardcore fans are going to remember her from the Teenage Kicks roster all the way back in episode 2. She is the sole survivor of that group, and her presence here proves something very important. Homelander is pulling incredibly dangerous, deeply obscure assets from the very bottom of Lott's history to ensure the absolute extermination of his enemies. The incredibly dark reality of Homelander's new regime is brilliantly illustrated right here. We are looking at a room that has been completely decimated, absolutely filled with victims taken out by Dognot and Shilin. Now initially, you might just assume these are typical Starlight supporters, right? The usual everyday targets for Homelander's loyalists. But if you look incredibly closely at the specific details scattered on the floor, specifically those lanyards hanging around their necks, I firmly believe these aren't just Starlighters. These are members of the press. Under Homelander's absolute rule, the basic democratic duty to tell the truth and report any kind of negative coverage comes with a bloody, fatal price tag. This is not just some random massacre. It is a calculated, brutally efficient warning designed to completely silence any critical truth-telling across the entire country. If you speak out against the immortal god, you don't get slapped with a lawsuit or a PR smear campaign anymore. You get slaughtered. I really cannot emphasize this next point enough. We only have 2 episodes left in this season. 2. We are at the absolute breaking point and the ticking clock is deafening right now. With the endgame accelerating at this terrifying breakneck pace, a massive, highly lethal action sequence is totally imminent. Huey, Mother's Milk, and Starlight are trapped in the exact same claustrophobic building with Dognut and Shirlin as we speak. Because we are down to just 2 remaining hours of story to wrap this all up, I fully expect this confrontation to be an absolute, unmitigated bloodbath. The writers are clearly clearing the board. The gloves are completely off, and honestly, I do not expect Dognut and Shirlin to make it out of that building alive when they are cornered by a resistance that literally has nothing left to lose. Section 3. Butcher's desperate plan B, when the virus fails. Let's pull back and really look at the emotional core of this conflict. Huey is completely, utterly devastated upon hearing the news of Homelander's V1 immortality. The realization that their ultimate trump card weapon is entirely useless is just a soul-crushing blow. But Butcher absolutely refuses to leave this earth until Homelander is completely in the ground. With Huey devastated and Butcher stubbornly refusing to give up the ghost, they naturally turned to their desperate plan B. They looked to the smartest person alive, Sister Sage, who had recently switched sides to help them. But Sage took a massive, absolutely catastrophic loss here. She fundamentally miscalculated. She truly believed her perfect, flawless plan that Soldier Boy would destroy the V1, leaving Homelander totally vulnerable to the virus, was foolproof. And she was dead wrong. For the smartest person to ever exist, to be that wrong, the psychological toll is immense and totally devastating. To cope with this monumental, world-ending failure, she is literally driving spikes into her own head. She is deliberately destroying parts of her own incredibly valuable brain just to achieve a drunken, numbing effect. She is entirely incapacitated by the sheer crushing horror of her own genius failing her when it mattered most. I really want to slow down for a second and just look at the massive, impossible wall the Resistance is staring at right now. The virus is completely useless against the V1 upgrade. It's a dud. Sister Sage, their brilliant strategic mind, is functionally incapacitated, physically lobotomizing herself just to escape her own grief. The Resistance is currently bleeding out in a locked building, being actively hunted by top-tier tracking assassins. So I have to ask, what are Butcher's remaining options? How in the world do you kill a biologically immortal god when your smartest ally is completely out of commission and your ultimate weapon is completely obsolete? It seems impossible, right? But just when things look their absolute, undeniable darkest, I want to introduce you to the ultimate wildcard of this story. Section 4, the Gen V wildcard, Odessa's legacy. This is exactly where the narrative expands so brilliantly.
Enter Marie Moreau and Jordan from the Gen V roster. We are finally seeing these incredibly powerful characters brought right into the main fold. And let me tell you, they are absolutely not here just for a fun little spin-off cameo. They are here to play a major foundational role in Homelander's ultimate demise. Let's focus entirely on Marie Moreau and the insanely dark legacy of the Odessa Project. For those who might not know, the Odessa Project involved horrific, unthinkable experimentations in the woods. They were creating a genetic foundation that makes its survivors vastly stronger and infinitely more durable than your average run-of-the-mill soup. Marie's potential is absolutely staggering. It has literally been stated that she could potentially be the most powerful soup to ever exist. And remember the ultimate proof? We have already seen her take a direct, point-blank laser blast to the chest from Homelander himself, and she survived it. She woke up. The sheer ridiculous durability required to withstand his heat vision without being instantly sliced completely in half is unprecedented in this universe. Now let's connect all these dots and look at the only logical biological loophole left on the board to bypass this V1 immortality. I want to walk you meticulously through this exact theoretical sequence because it's brilliant. Step 1. Ryan, who literally shares Homelander's exact power set and boundless potential, strikes his father with his lasers in a desperate moment of rebellion. Because it's Ryan, this causes an actual physical wound. Step 2. Homelander bleeds. This right here is the critical split-second moment that changes everything. Step 3. Marie Moreau utilizes her incredibly powerful, uniquely specialized blood magic. The rule with her power is incredibly simple. If he bleeds, she controls him. She could theoretically extract every single drop of his V1 infused blood completely out of his body, literally pulling his life force out from the inside out. It is a terrifying, highly gruesome, and highly visceral vulnerability. And you have to appreciate the horrific irony here. The very V1 blood that literally makes him an immortal god could be weaponized directly against him to tear him apart cell by cell. Section 5. The Missing Soldier Boy. Tying up loose ends. As we aggressively approach the final climax of this entire breakdown, I need to draw your full attention to a glaring, deeply chilling mystery. Look at the board. Homelander is right there in the Oval Office. He is enjoying the absolute spoils of his ultimate victory. He is the President of the United States. He is an untouchable immortal god. But looking at the entirety of his inner circle right now, there is a massive, incredibly significant omission staring us right in the face. Where on earth is Soldier Boy? I am obsessively pointing this out because his absence is absolutely deafening. Think about it. Soldier Boy is the literal guy who secured the V1 upgrade for Homelander in the very first place. He proved his ultimate unwavering loyalty. He's been a massive central figure driving the plot of this entire season leading up to this exact pivotal moment. And yet in the hour of their ultimate world-conquering victory, he's completely, inexplicably nowhere to be found. Let me connect the final terrifying dots for you right here. Homelander is completely 100% immortal against the virus. We know that. But what about Soldier Boy's chest beam? That radioactive blast violently, permanently strips soups of their compound V. And we just saw undeniable, absolutely critical proof that this chest beam successfully takes away powers even if the target has the V1 upgrade. We literally saw it happen directly to Bomb Sight last episode. That completely changes the math. That means Soldier Boy's chest beam mathematically bypasses the biological immortality of the V1. This singular revelation makes Soldier Boy the single solitary existential threat remaining on the entire planet to Homelander's absolute godhood. And that brings us to this horrifying, inevitable conclusion to ponder. If you know Homelander, you know his defining psychological trait isn't his bravery, and it certainly isn't his strength. It is his deep, crippling, consuming paranoia. He knows exactly what Soldier Boy can do. He knows Soldier Boy could end his glorious godhood in a single, glowing blast. Homelander, as a strict precaution, eliminates the only man who could ever threaten his immortality. Did Homelander murder his own father in cold blood the very second he got the V1 upgrade just to perfectly secure his absolute, unquestionable rule over humanity? As we step into this massive 2-episode endgame, this chilling thought proves that Homelander's dark new empire isn't built just on sheer invincibility. It is built on a mountain of ultimate, unthinkable betrayal. I'll leave you to think about exactly what that means for the very few survivors left breathing in his shadow.